Well, sometimes I don't like being lucky, you know? I mean, look at that right there. Boom, shakalaka. That is the hit. That's it. Could that be the bottom of Bitcoin? I don't know. I don't know. Might be, might not be. We might go on down. We've got that level right there. Right on down. We've got even more. Possibly down to. I mean, there's a reason I drew this right here. Right here. That's how far down we could go. Look at that, though. Beautiful hit. Is that it? Is that the bottom? Big question mark. We'll see. Hey, Rongamer. Good to see you again, as always. Your son was hilarious last night. I didn't tell you about it, but maybe I'll remember to tell you later. Anyway, funny conversation. Had to do with all sport and fruit. Anyway, Gary, Ed, Ryan, Joseph. How's it going, everybody? Don, Amy, Mark, Ted, Will, Roland, David, Darren, Cliff, Arturo, Svenborn, General Rush, good to see you. David, Sergio, Donald, Jason, Digger, my man, Rex, Ivan, good to see everybody. So, in case you missed it, I'm speaking at an event tomorrow. It's the Elliott Wave Hub with a bunch of other, the event starts today. So if you want to go check out some Elliott Wave information, education, it's the Elliott Wave Hub event. I will be on tomorrow at 2 p.m. speaking right here, doing some Elliott Wave education, tying it into what I do. And here is the link to register to get your invite. Post this in the chat right there. Right there. Click that link, register. Come see me tomorrow, 2 p.m. So, I also have 5 p.m. today. 30 minutes of awesome. The only request show I do coming up today. It's been kind of light, I have to admit, and we've been debating whether I'm going to continue it. So if you like that show and you want to continue seeing that show, you got to show up. The attendance has been low. not gonna sugarcoat it. For a live stream, I need people to show up to make requests. And as channel members, if you're a channel member, you get priority. So I do your requests first. So that's a benefit of being a channel member, is you get the priority on the requests. So anyway, 5 p.m. Eastern, we start that show every Tuesday, at least when the market's open. If it's a holiday, like I skipped Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, darn, took those days off. Anyway, I don't foresee that being a problem the rest of this year. Anyway, Bitcoin hit the roadmap line. Is that the bottom? Is that the bottom indeed? And in other news, this is interesting. Let's see. There we go. They keep changing the buttons. Right here. Look at this. 90% of the S&P 500 companies have come out of their buyback blackout window. That frees up like an estimated $50 billion of buying a day, potentially. Is that going to be enough to turn the market around? Or is this weighing on us? Remember, the market's risk on, risk off, right? That's risk on, risk off. That's pretty much what we see with Bitcoin. This market right here, that big down. We've seen it a couple times here. Saw it right there, Oh, it depends on how you do it. We could be near the bottom here if it just echoes these other pullbacks across there. So watch for a bottom. Potential to have a bottom. but it's also potential we do the 30% correction. Take us on down here. Right there. Right there. Anyway, before we talk too much trading, all trading involves a substantial risk of loss. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. This presentation intended to be informational, educational, fun, entertaining, not a recommendation to be buying or selling any financial instrument. So don't buy stocks, options, bonds, forex, futures, cryptos, treasuries. Don't long them, don't short them, don't trade them. There's a substantial risk of loss if you do this thing we call trading. All right? I mean, you buy anything and you got to be prepared for losses. I mean, that's just kind of the way this goes. There's no like easy button where you just put money in the stock market and watch it go up. That's just not a thing. And if you need somebody to tell you what to do, give you some financial advice, you need to hire and consult a financial advisor, which is not what I am doing. It's not what I do. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. Just a guy sharing stuff I see in the market. Sometimes I get lucky. Sometimes I lose my own butt on trades. And yeah, I told you, every day we're going to see President Trump speaking. Tuesday, today, February 25th, got some consumer confidence coming out at 10 o'clock. We've got crude oil inventories tomorrow at 10:30. New home sales tomorrow at 10 o'clock. It's kind of benign economic news-wise. On Thursday, we get some preliminary GDP numbers, unemployment, core durable goods. Maybe this could cause a little bit of spark on Thursday, but the big news this week comes up on Friday with the core PCE and their PCE and the personal consumer expenditures numbers. That's Jerome Powell's favorite inflation numbers, just a different mix from CPI, but basically the same stuff. Just adjust the weights a little bit, but they toss out all the stuff that is generally all the things we spend money on. It feels like when they do those numbers. I don't know. What good's inflation if you take out all the price of like milk and bread and all the things that everybody buys every day? I mean, how is that helpful? I guess from a government standpoint, managing the numbers, but anyway. How's it going, everybody? How's it going? Anybody getting absolutely wrecked on crypto? Potential bottom, might do more. I mean, like how low can she go? She can go down another 10%. Right there. This might be the biggest event of the week. Coming up right here, tomorrow, after the close. Dun, 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 dun. Earnings on NVIDIA. Sky high expectations. Bearish chart setup in place. Bullish opportunity to bounce. Or break down. Get below that low. And go flushing on down. A little bit of a coin flip. Have to be honest. Biggest news of the week right there. And another interesting one this week. Look at this. This is down like at the pre-market. This is down below. I mean, Bitcoin's pulling back, so the value of their Bitcoin. Right there, the value of Bitcoin. $13 a share, basically. They're down to the net asset value, if you will. You've heard me, maybe you've been here and you're like, well, what does net asset value even mean? They hold Bitcoin as asset, all right? That's for this company. And the value of their Bitcoin is roughly $13 a share with the pullback. So they're basically sitting right at the value of the Bitcoin, putting no other value on any of their business, any of their mining, any of their operations, any of their pies that they have fingers in. So putting no value on any of that other business. It's kind of interesting. I feel like MSTR yesterday announcing they bought more Bitcoin. They're up to 499,000 Bitcoins. I got the number right. Yeah, 499,096 Bitcoins. That's quite a few. So their net asset value. How would you go about even figuring this out? Let's check it out. Like we go with this, we go 499,096 times, what was Bitcoin at the moment? Roughly 89,000. 89,000. So that's $44.4 billion. Right? Everybody understand that so far? Pop over here. We look at the number of shares outstanding. You've got 238 million plus another 500,000. So basically 238.5 million shares. So you come over here, you go divide by 238,500,000. 238,500,000 shares, rounding off, equals $186 of Bitcoin per share at the current price. Go check it out. They're at 267, so there is some implied value to this stock. Could come on down. Kind of implies right now, Bitcoin holding still, there's a floor somewhere right here around 186. If we get below that, they're below their net asset value. Kind of funny though that that's right where the 1272 is. Right. We'll see. See what happens. All right. This is as always, if this conversation is beneficial, let me know. If you're finding this not beneficial, let me know. I'd be glad to talk about other things. But that's the net asset value. If you look at MSTR's Bitcoin right there. You do the same for Mora. You have to go dig up how much Bitcoin they got, do the math, divide by the shares. It's roughly $13. Roughly. It changes, as Bitcoin price changes, we get swings. But right now, as of this moment, that was MSTR right around $186 a share. So it's interesting, right? Dun, 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 dun. Ethereum month and March. We'll see. So digging on around, S&P 500, actually green, open. Not bad. Heck of a flush. Can we hold it? Are we going to fold it? It's a good question. We got below that, and we definitely flushed. We're pushing the limits here. Yesterday, softened it up a little bit more. Went on down. We did not break below the 786. That's usually the indicator that we're going to go on down. All right, so if we push below that level today, odds are we're coming on down here. Right in that vicinity, around 58. And then it would almost be a shame if we didn't just go ahead and spike down and hit the roadmap line. So that's the downtrend of highs that we've had intact since the beginning of December. And the real bummer here is that we might mess around. We might just screw around until this comes on up here, over here, in late March. How frustrating would that be? Be super frustrating to me. We might just do that because that's the way the market works. It loves to mess with everybody. We're just going to keep consolidating, it looks like. Now, they call it Turnaround Tuesday for reasons. We might see something pop today. It would be absolutely a crazy thing if we took this whole move back. I think it would be an absolutely crazy thing. We take this whole move back. Right there. We're talking about that high, that low. Take that whole move back. 168 points. It'd be a wild ride, right? Now, looking at all the way to the lows, right there. Nope, wrong. Fib line, pull that down. We do have more, another 618 resistance right there in the vicinity. Like I said, if we break through that 76, probably coming right down in this vicinity, right in here. Right there, those kind of numbers right in there. So that's what to watch on the downside. Upside still intact, still potential. We've bounced off of this trend line once, twice, and that was a little poke through. If we come down for the third time, though, we may slice through it. Go visit that daily roadmap line. There you go. Looking at the S5. So occasionally I like to check on these, usually weekly, just kind of get the bearing on the market. These are kind of an oscillator. It tells you what to kind of expect out of trend, right? We topped out right back here after bottoming it out, coming into the year. We shot up to the top really quickly. I said, you know, on the 20-day moving average, that's what this is. S&P 500 stocks above their 20-day moving average. We kind of topped it out, and I would expect it to come back down. Now, it's entirely possible that we do a dip and we pop back up and do another dip and pop back up. It's entirely possible, all right, that we find a bottom in this vicinity around 30 to 40 in the coming days, and then we shoot back up to the top. Just the way this works, all right? We oscillate between the top and the bottom. When we poke out the top, usually we'll go poke out the bottom. You know, we poked out the bottom here, shot to the top, came back almost to the bottom, shot up out of the top, came back almost to the bottom, shot back out of the top, put it to extreme levels above 90, and then we set up back to almost to the bottom, lower high, almost to the bottom, lower high, and then went out the bottom all the way down below 10. When we get to the extremes, this wasn't quite an extreme, even though it was above 80. When we get up above 90 or below 10, those tend to be the extremes and set the big picture trend. So we'll probably go shooting up, make a high above 90 before we come back down below 20, significantly below 20, certainly below 10. You know, I would expect a move up above 90 before going below 10. But that doesn't mean we won't go further down here before we come back up again. Now, looking at the 50-day, a little bit slower. We were down here at the bottom. Yeah, same situation. We tend to be at the top, then we go to the bottom, then we tend to go back to the top. So look at the stocks about the 50-day. This is due for a climb back up to the top. So on the bigger picture, 50-day moving average, probably can expect some higher prices. Now, does it have to work that way? No. We had an uptrend of lows, and we kind of busted it and bounced off of it. But the thing is, this isn't a trending stock. It's just an oscillator. So down to the bottom, it's not going below 0, and it's not going above 100. Because you can't have less than 0% of the stocks below the 50, and you can't have more than 100% of the stocks above the 50. So something to keep in mind. And then going even slower, stocks above the 200-day, we topped this out. So this is a very mixed set, right? The longest time period, we're probably due for a deeper go. Although we didn't really max it out to super max levels like we have in the past. We did bottom it out pretty good down here in 2022. We came up, finally poked out last year in 2024, but we didn't really take it to extreme levels. We just got 80% or so, and then we started rolling back down. We've kind of made a few head and shoulder pattern, and then pretty much got to the bottom of that, and we've rallied a little bit. I would kind of expect this to pop back up, make a higher high at this point after retracing. And we do get some swings in here. I don't think we've pushed this to extreme levels, so maybe we take this and push it to an extreme on up here above 90 before we set the tone for a bigger downtrend. All right, that's just kind of like, what do you expect big picture? These kind of set the path. This is market. This is money flowing in and out of the market. Flows out of the market, flows into the market, flows out of the market, flows into the market. Money is always flowing. All right, you've heard this. Like, how do you see it? Right here, these charts. How do you trade these charts? That's not really a thing you can do. These are just indexes. All right, just keeping track of the number of S&P 500 stocks above the 200-day, above the 50-day, and above the 20-day. This one's very fast. This one's slower. This one's even slower. So what does that mean for us today? It just kind of sets the tone, right? Like, we expect in the near term, there's potential that this could go a little lower before we go shooting up. All right, so there's downside potential on the 20-day, but we kind of expect it to turn and go higher. Now, it doesn't have to. It can certainly come down and make a lower low. Certainly. Like, that could have been the retrace, and we go down here and bottom it out right down near zero. It's possible. Just reading the tea leaves, but when you go back and look at the history of this thing, that's not a move that we commonly see, where we hit the bottom, go all the way up to the top, and then all the way back and make a lower low. It's not. That one did. It's just not that common, though. Usually we go push the extremes on both sides, up to 90, down to 10, up to 90. You can go back and look at the history of this thing. How does it usually move? You can see, usually go up to the bottom, down to the bottom, up to the top, down to the bottom, up to the top. Just oscillates between the top and the bottom. It's money flowing in and out of the market. That's how you get a feeling for what to expect. What to expect when expecting. All right. Jumping on down. Look at the futures. What happened overnight? Slow grinding bleed off. We reopened right here and just messing around at the bottom. If we can break back above the 15 minutes, we'll go look at the 5 minutes. We've been bouncing off. Not really getting through. Load, please. We've just been bouncing off, not really getting through. Bouncing off. So the 5 minute, if we start getting above the high right there at 610, 60.10, it's an indication we might be able to go test the 15 minute and then build up to the 30 minutes and the 1 hour and get some stuff going on the upside here. Man, that's being slow. Holy bananas. We are significantly below the 4 hour. Like, that hasn't even been, it's not even really been support or resistance at all. So that daily on down here, hanging out around 5,800. We might head down there. The futures have room. I was looking at the cash index earlier. The futures have, like, they can come on down here and hit that. Those kind of prices right there, 5,800, 5,850. Could be interesting. NASDAQ certainly looks like we could come on down. We're getting back down to the July high. We're in the neighborhood. This level right here is the July high. We've only been there, gosh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This will be like the 9th visit. Maybe the first one with the roadmap line there. So NASDAQ, big tech, the strongest stocks in the whole U.S. market, has been doing butkus since July. Jack squat. Feel like this market is tough to make money in? Guess what? Hadn't gone anywhere since July. Yeah, we've had stocks ripping and we've had stocks dipping, but look at the big picture. Nowhere since July. That's just kind of wild, right? Dun, 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 dun. Russell, looks like we might flush it right down there. I thought we might come up and hit this before we did the flush, but looks like we may just flush it now. Something to keep an eye on right there. We already made the lower low, so this possibly could be indicating we're done. All we needed was a lower low than that low right back there in January. So this is one to keep an eye on. Can we turn it and burn it higher? Or are we going to flush this on out? Oil sitting on the downtrend. This was downtrend of highs. Now it's downtrend of lows. Sitting right on that support. We're kind of mashed in here. Like here's the support line. Right there. Here's the resistance. And we're just hovering in this spot. Hovering in that spot. We're doing that oil number coming out. Circling back over here, we have an oil number coming out right there. Crude oil inventories. Tomorrow. And that could break it free. It could push it lower or it could push it higher. Or the market could just go, I don't really care. I don't really care. Kind of the three things that could happen. It could just continue sideways right here. Doesn't have to do jack squat. Right now, the market's being very frustrating. Just frustrating everybody up. Gold, not really pushing higher, not really pushing lower. Just kind of churning right at the top. Not giving you that warm, fuzzy feeling at all. I mean, it's just kind of the way the market works sometimes. Everything just kind of frustrating people. Silver looks like we're going to come back down for roadmap test. If we break below it, we could come down here. I'd actually love to see this. Silver, I think, has one of the biggest opportunities this year. But we'll see. Bitcoin is in the retrace. On the futures chart here, we missed the roadmap line. But on the spot market, the actual Bitcoin cash market here, we actually fully hit the roadmap line. There are different charts for Bitcoin, but this is we basically did the retrace that I was expecting. Now we might get a further downside, may come all the way down here to 77, 78,000. That would be a 30% retrace off of that high from just back there in January when we hit 108,000. 30% retraces are very, very common when we do a halving run. We get these swings right there. Look. People are like, oh my gosh, Bitcoin's broken. But no, it does 30% swings. Look, right there. In the middle of that halving run. We went from 41,000 all the way back down to 29,000. Before we shot up again. And we did some more retraces. Big, deep retraces are part of Bitcoin. Just because the dollar value gets bigger as we get to 100,000 doesn't mean it's out of the normal. All right. You got to keep it all in perspective and all in mind and all in your plan. Your failure to plan on what to do sets you up for failure. Ethereum looks like we're going to dip it on down, get that extension. And here's the scary part though. If we break down below here, it's a very key level. If we get below that low, 2,100, that might be the target. 500 to 700, triple digits. That would hurt, right? Why? Why would I say such a thing? JT, don't even suggest that. That right there. That move, projected off of that high. Possibly even 300. Ouch. It's just an echo of that move. Right there. BitX getting down. Oh yeah. Down at the levels I was looking for on the retrace. Jumping up, looking at NKD. Not really seeing any. This is a global liquidity indicator. We're getting to the bottom. So far in the last, gosh, what has it been? Since August? Like 5 months. Every time we kind of visit the bottom here, we go shooting back up to the top. We'll see if this does it again. Usually takes the US market with it when we get a little pop. Oh, dollar down to the roadmap line. Can we hold it? Or are we going to bust through? There's potential for this to bounce here. Come back up to there before we go down. But it could just break through and go down. Or it could get up here and go up. So there's the potential pass. All right, that's the standard potential pass. Either we flush out now, we bounce up here and flush, or bounce up here, break higher, and go on up to those higher levels. All right, I go pull everything moving $3 or $2 or more up, put it on the gainers list, $2 or more down, put it on the decliners list. Hunt for some opportunities. And so here we go. Lily, right in the target zone. If we can stick this today, probably going on up to 1,000. It's the next target up here. ITRI, back to the roadmap line. Be careful. This can be resistance, and we can turn down. Got the high in place. We've got the low in place. The big resistance, which doesn't look like it's in the right spot, which may mean we're going to get a lower low like this. So watch out for a bounce down off of that, an extension on down lower. Doesn't have to happen, but it just kind of, when I look at where the fib line is, it looks like it would be better if it was right down like that, which means further downside, another 20 bucks down potentially. Race at the targets. Be careful. Doesn't have to go any higher. I do have a target on up there around 530. DOCN. DigitalOcean. Funny enough, DigitalOcean is where I run Apollo Triple Threat. All the automatic alerts all run off of DigitalOcean. Man, that's choppy. Choppy. I don't expect DigitalOcean to do much of jack squat right there. Just sitting sideways. It's kind of doing a watermelon seed squeeze, right? Like kind of lower highs, higher lows. Probably fill this out before it breaks out either up or down. LU. Oop. That's interesting. Don't know how I did that one. LU, watch for return to the roadmap line. YY, Joy. Hit the targets, watch for that to come. Like, that's a very exponential looking move. Watch for some chop. And then a break back down. Very common pattern we see in the markets. I call it the bubble pattern because that's kind of what it feels like. When the bubble pops, we drop, plummet into the abyss. It can be a big picture. It can be a big target. It can be a smaller target. These bubble patterns show up all the time. So Joy's starting to look like that. If we get some chop in here, it doesn't even have to chop very long, and it can just break back down. So be careful. This one had that kind of watermelon seed squeeze thing. Goes shooting out. So it does have potential to go a little higher. Could come on up here to 62 before we exhaust that squeeze, if you will. Ever quote. That reminds me of Ever Crack, Ever Quest. 29 on the upside right there. PTIR. Who got caught in that one? Honesty time, right? Who heeded my warning and booked profit up here? Who got caught and just rode this all the way back down? Let me know. Let me know. I'd love to hear. I especially love to hear if you booked out the profit. Now the downside still on PLTR still have potential to come back to the roadmap line right there. I said pretty confidently we may come back and retest the breakouts, and it's entirely possible we're coming back to the roadmap line right there. Be freaking careful here. This can come all the way back. Like that's the come all the way back down. Cut this in half again. 50% downside still. Maybe even more. Please be careful out there. ETHD. Right to the roadmap line. This is ultra short on Ethereum. There you go, David. That might be the way to make money on Ethereum as it plummets out to possibly down to 500. I hope not, but there you go. Bang. Diamondback Energy sitting on the lows. Getting a little pop today, but not really indicating we're doing anything. Support right here. Resistance right here. Continue sideways would be what I expect on that one. FMTO. Don't trade stuff like this. There's your warning. BABA. This may come back and retest this breakout area right here. We broke out through this prior high. Right in there. May come back, bounce off of it before we can go even higher up there. But the consolidation could happen, and then we just go shooting off. This is a little bit played out right now on BABA without getting a bigger retrace. So if you're riding this one, be careful, protect your downside. If we break down below that prior high, it may come all the way back to the roadmap line. How much can you stand? If you can't stand another 10, 15 bucks down, maybe you should book profit. If you can't stand another, like 20 bucks down from there, maybe you should really book profit if we get down to here. SAP is the wrong one. Load the NYC version. Watch for that to come back to the roadmap line. TARS. Whew. Guess what? Beautiful retrace on that one. Holy guacamole. So there's a potential here. I'm not big on biotech pharma. If you're new here, biotech pharma, anything the Food and Drug Administration of the United States gets involved in, not my favorite place to play. All right, there can be unexpected moves and doesn't necessarily follow my patterns. This, if it maintains this low right in here, breaks back above this 618 level right in here at that 51 and change area, sets this up to potentially come up to 60 area right there. Very simple, very clean pattern. Very clean. Now, if we break down below here, watch out, we can easily come back down in the 20 area. So that's kind of like as simple as it is right now. LI. Stay in the box. Keep chopping, baby. Keep chopping. I would expect this just to keep going sideways. Till we break out the top or break down below. Just keep chopping sideways. You'd be like, well, I could make big money, buying at 13 and selling at 48. Great, do it. That's not my kind of trade. That's not a trend. Going sideways. It's just chop. NVO potentially made the bottom. Watch for resistance at the roadmap line. has a long way to go to catch back up to Lily. Could potentially rally all the way up here to 155. Maybe even higher. So resistance here. Resistance at that 120 area. Get above it. Target's right up there. That one's just as clean and beautiful as TARS right there. That's also pharmaceutical. That one has potentially better upside opportunity than Lily right now. But Lily is already proving that we're breaking out higher. So, gotta decide. Supposedly the shortage is done in GLP-1 drugs, which is Novordisk and Lilly make the Wegovy and stuff like that. And that's one of those to keep track of. And HIMSS, the FDA said, hey, GLP-1 drugs, they're not in a shortage anymore. People buying calls like crazy on HIMSS. I saw millions of dollars of calls go through yesterday at 40. Yesterday. Whoo, look at that. We were up here now today. And guess what? Where we're going? Probably right down there. That was essentially the bubble pattern. Everybody see it? Sometimes they come back fast. Sometimes it chops around and takes a long time. See this one right here? This one took a little while. Same choppy pattern. Shot up, came down, chop, chop, chop. This one even chopped me up. I lost 15 grand on this. Ran out of time, and then I would have been sitting pretty. I probably would have made 100 grand on that. But I ran out of time. Right before it plummeted out. Now it's doing it again in a smaller scale. Probably going to come right down here. There's your warning. If NVIDIA craps the bed tomorrow, would not surprise me for this to be right down here. Now, this one also has a deadline. I figured it out. Today. Today is the deadline. Unless they get some kind of extension or something like that. Today is the deadline. The 25th of February. They have to submit a fully, properly audited prior 3 months, prior 3 quarters. Prior 3 quarters, not 3 months. Prior 3 quarters of earnings, properly audited to NASDAQ and the SEC, or they risk being delisted. That's due today. As I've said for a few days that something was coming up on the 25th. That's what it is. They have to, it's the deadline for submitting all their documents. So, would I short this? No, I'd probably stay the fudge away. All right. If you've got any exposure to this, I might GTFO. Get it out. Why? If they get delisted, you're screwed. All right. You've got to wait until the legal process happens for your positions to get closed out. If you got options that expire, there's a process for it, but it sucks. It sucks a lot. Ties up your money indefinitely. Could potentially be tied up for years if there's lawsuits and stuff like that. So, I'd stay the fudge away, but opportunity for this to drop. All right, there's your warning. Circling back around, Carvana. Well, there's the roadmap line. Back to it. We hit the target. Look at that. Perfect. Perfect bounce. Perfect target. And we did the exact thing I would expect to do. Come back to the roadmap line. If we don't hold that, probably come on lower. If we do, break back higher. Let's draw it. Let's see what it is. Next opportunity, that high, this low, back above the 618 at 261, takes us up to 306, 317 on the next go. Break above here, that's the conservative entry. There's the target, right like that. We did that exact pattern right here. Just played out. Can do it again. Probably will do it again. I would expect it to do it again until it proves it was not. So if we break down below, roadmap line, watch out below. PLTY, and don't trade this. Why? You're going to lose money. WLGS, Wang Lee Group. Looks like it needs a third move down. Whew, that could go way down. Low price stuff also doesn't always follow the patterns. Low price stocks, so be careful there. It's kind of like pharma. Buyback. Man, that looks exponential, doesn't it? I mean, look at that move. It's 2x leverage on BABA. Leverage charts don't always follow the patterns, but that could come back down pretty wickedly. MSTZ. Despite this being an inverse MSTR, that's not really moved much compared to the drop. Big reverse split. Be careful, this one's not performing. CYD. Well, that looks like it's going to come back down pretty ugly. HSBC. Just ripping off. How high does she go? That's a good question. Good question. We're going to have to go up higher time frames here. Well, we're coming up into a resistance. That's what I see right there. That's been the highest we could go for the last nearly 20 years. Be careful on that. Yeah. If we get through 63, it'll be like almost a miracle. That's the lowest low right there. Look at that. That low right there. That's the lowest low on the chart. So nothing over here actually matters. Like that, none of this price action really matters. That's the first move up, the retrace. That could be stalling out, and we could actually go lower. FUTU. Potentially topped. Coming back down to the roadmap lines, what that looks like. Double top. Return to the roadmap line and try again. Now, it could just hold in here at like a 618 retrace, which is still down below us just a little bit at 96 before it can pop. So we may see this return to here, possibly as low as that. So there's your two support lines, levels. Here's the target up here, 140. Nothing changed. All right, decliners. You know, some of these gave it up. You know, wow, especially that one up there, DGNX. Dillard's, looks like we're coming back for the roadmap line pretty quickly. MSTR, guess what? I didn't want to be right on this, but so far I'm right. That's potentially the bottom if we echo that first drop. And potential to come on down even lower. HIMS, like I said, watch for the roadmap line, 28. SRE. That might be done. Let's see. It's back to the lows. 3 wave, 1, 2. And potential to find a bottom here. As a regular split. That's weird. Usually you don't decline into a regular stock split. Potential for this to go higher. You know, 100 would be the target, but also has downside levels here. 65, 58. Right there. Coin. Yeah, baby. Right. Man, it's even gotten below the target. Oh, so beautiful. If we get below 190, I'm starting to be worried about this one. But anything in this vicinity is potentially a measured bounce setup. Really, really nice. Kind of simplifies this chart too. Simple as that right there. I like it. I like it a lot. And potentially pushes us on out to this 540 area up here on the next bounce. Crypto's bad right now, but it's probably gonna find a bottom and go higher, but may have more downside to go. Tempest AI, roadmap line coming up right down here at 50. BitX, yeah, that's a deep retrace, but yeah, look, we hit the 1272. Expected. Here's the low. Here's the high. Support 39. If we do the measured bounce here, this sets up a ridiculous upside. Incredibly powerful. Look at that. Holy bananas. 39 to 120. That's 3x potential on Bitcoin. Now, it is leveraged. I warn about leverage. Doesn't always follow the patterns. May not perform TCOM, but I like the opportunity. TCOM right there. There's a reason why I warn about leverage. I've been screwed before. I'll be screwed again, I'm sure. TCOM did a 3-wave move. That high, that low, that high. Right there. Bingo, bango. Potential to bottom here. So we're seeing lots of stuff with the potential to bottom in this vicinity. That high, that low. Break back above 69. Could go up to 80. Bit U. And that's potential to bottom also. Got that low, got that high. Potential to retrace. Find support at 36. Hold that area and turn higher. ARC B. That's more Bitcoin. Almost the other roadmap line. Bit C, O, Bitco, Investco. Back to the roadmap line. FBTC. Back to the roadmap line. GBTC. Back to the roadmap line. Those are all Bitcoin ETFs. CIVI. Making a lower low. How low can she go? 39. Zoom, zoom. Ouch. First move down, retrace. We're coming into support. I'd like to see this 68 area hold. If it doesn't, we might go on down to 60. Nice. Potential bottom might go a little bit lower. CLS back to the roadmap line would be my expectation. IBIT back to the roadmap line would be my expectation. That's BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF. EasyBC back to the roadmap line. Notice that theme here: Bitcoin, 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 QVC. Is that actually QVC? Yeah. That's interesting. Series B. BTDR. BitDeer. Boy, that's a nasty chart. Probably coming back down to the lows. INOD. Watch for that to come back to the roadmap line. Potentially done. Absolute insane move there. And we played that out. Played out the upside pretty well. Watch for this to come back all the way back down in this 30 area right there. Connell. Back to the lows. That got really deep. Probably come back to 17. FETH. Back to the bottom. That's Fidelity's Ethereum fund. BTC. I'm not even sure which BTC that was supposed to be. That one, Grayscale. Mini Trust. That's what it was. Back to the roadmap line, which it's not even going to draw a roadmap line because it's too new. ETH is not the right one either. It's going to be and Grayscale again. It looks pretty sucky. ETHT. Probably making new lows. Hood. Guess where it's coming. There's a reason I sold all my stuff at 60. Support at 36. I did not want to ride this back down. Sold out of Hood at 60. Probably coming back down. 36 to 40 area. Not super far down from where we are. Not super far. I mean, that was a heck of a pullback, right? 47%. Now we're just looking at potentially another 22% or so. Not so bad, he says. There you go. When we find the support here, that sets up another huge move on Robinhood. Potentially back up to potentially even new highs. So we haven't done a retrace since back here. This nice big fat one sets us up a nice potential upside. All right. So, daily chart setups. For those of you, not many of you, they're still here. I do appreciate you hanging out. Hopefully it's been beneficial, helpful. Let's go look at the daily chart setups, shall we? So I have lots of different channels in here, and I have one for daily chart setups. There were only 3 on the chart. 3 on the Hunter yesterday. That one, negative. That one, negative. And that one, negative. So, not great potential right there. That's what that says. That's kind of the way the market is, right? Not great potential. So, not really an awesome bonus trade to get involved in today. They all have a negative expectancy. Not super strong. So, be careful out there. Bias for the day. Let's go check it out. Starting to think we might retrace it back to the roadmap line. It's not far away. Look, we're already pushing lower. As I warned. Starting to look like we're just going to let it go. Drop the soap. That's what it looks like. Hate to say it, but that's what it looks like. We've got this last line in the sand right here. Right there. 59.20 on SPX. Get below that. Probably coming right down here. Maybe even all the way down lower. There's a potential to escalate this thing on down here to 5,600. Potential. So be careful out there. Remember to go register for my event. I'll be out there tomorrow. Here's the link again, right there in the chat. Come join me. Learn some Elliott Wave stuff. Hey, there's like 15 other speakers too. So lots of people, lots of my friends that taught me Elliott Wave stuff are there speaking in the next couple of days. Super handy, super helpful. I'll see you later. See you at 5 p.m. for 30 minutes of awesome.